Yo, is the professor gonna join?
I was just gonna ask, do we think it's just us?
Oh, all right.
Sure.
Like almost 10 minutes. I think it's probably just us.
Yeah. I actually have a question for you guys. So I'm on the Hanoi quest, and in my Hanoi.h file, my functions that I'm declaring inside of the class, it says they're not found. There's like three dots. I'm using VS Code, uh, and I was wondering if you guys also had that problem.
Yo, is it for the look function? Like
For
the
all
lookup function? I had
for all of them.
for all of them. Oh, I had that
This is in
problem.
your. So this is in the .h file.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you have all your includes?
Yeah, I do. And it's weird because in my .cpp, I was able to implement them, and I have a main that tests it, and it runs fine. But it was just unusual for me because I didn't have that in any of my other quests.
Do you have the friend class, like friend class tests?
Yeah, I have that in.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I just don't know what this is. Do you guys also use VS Code, Visual Studios?
Yeah, I
We
use
don't
VS
use
Code.
VS. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what was the issue.
So, uh, in my .h file, when I'm like declaring the functions, like lookup moves and get moves in the Hanoi quest, there's these three little dots that appear under the name of it, and it says that the function definition was not found. And yeah, I no idea what that means.
Is it causing any compile time issues? Because it might just be that VS Code like might like I mean I've encountered issues where VS Code like doesn't update until you like compile or something. So I wouldn't be surprised if like compiling it fixes it, because I mean I'm not looking at your code right now, obviously, but you know, from the way you're describing it, it sounds like it might just be that VS Code is telling you there's an error that isn't there.
Yeah, no, I already compiled it a couple of times. I have a little main that I tested my method, my functions, and it's still there. It doesn't cause any errors.
Have you tried the auto grader yet?
No, I have not yet tried that because I still haven't finished everything. I just finished the recursion part.
It sounds like you'll probably be fine. Yeah, it sounds like it might just be like a warning. I don't know. That's a weird warning. But
Yeah. Also, did you guys also have a problem with the cache? I declared it in the private area of the class, and I tried to access it in one of the private functions, and it says that it's inaccessible. And I had no idea how to fix that. It was weird for me because if it's both private and it's in the same class, it should be able to access.
Did you make sure to when you were declaring, when you were like writing out the method or whatever in the CPP file, did you make sure to indicate that it was part of Hanoi with the like Hanoi : before?
Oh, wow, what a silly mistake. I think that fixes everything actually. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
sorry, yeah, I'm looking back at this. This is that quest was fun. The cache. How's everybody else's week going?
Good, thanks. I've been finding it hard to find things to post about in the subreddit. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but my last few posts have just been things that I found in the lectures and all. I've just been trying to participate so the teacher knows that we're kind of like there. But like,
Yeah,
yeah. How about you
doing
guys?
away with tip sheets is kind of a bummer because like
Yeah.
I feel like
where are
we're
you
all
guys
so
right now?
scattered. Oh, sorry, I just finished 5, so I'm starting 6 like today.
Yeah, I'm really behind right now. I'm still like finishing up too. Like, yeah.
I think you're actually on time. I'm just like paranoid I'm gonna get to one and not know how to do it. And so I also like work full time and like have a crazy life. So I just like set aside hours and crash through as much as I can and then hope for the best.
That's great though. Like getting ahead, like I should definitely try to get it done.
I got into the quests last quarter and I just blasted through like all of the ones from this quarter last quarter.
Nice.
And I'm on the 7th quest for next quarter.
What?
So you know, I still
Yes.
have all the files, and if anybody has questions, I can like,
It's nuts.
I mean, not like cross-check with your code. I won't tell you exactly what's wrong, but I can point you in the right direction, especially if it's a conceptual thing.
That rules.
Yeah, dude. Nice.
That's what I'm hoping to get done early this quarter and start on next quarter's. Just to
You
like,
should.
yeah,
Next
free up
quarter,
my life.
It's a lot harder. It's a
Yeah.
lot. It's trust me, it's
That
like
makes
a
sense.
work for each one.
Damn.
Was C++ your first coding language, or did you already know from before?
Yeah, this is my first language.
It's not my first language, but a lot of what I've learned from like Java or Python or anything like that, it kind of translates. So as soon as I kind of picked up the syntax and some of the quirks about pointers, I was able to pretty much blast it.
Yeah. Sick.
Wait, so how many posts per week do you have to do to like maintain the participation points? Like I think I've been doing like 1 to 2 posts per week / comments.
That's probably fine in my experience. I mean, you just need to be participative in class, especially, and then you don't have to participate as much on the Reddit. So it depends on like, you know, how much you're in class. If you're in class a lot and participating a lot, you probably won't have to post that much on the Reddit to get a good grade.
Well, 2B technically doesn't really have a class, like it's, I think fully asynchronous. Just these
I think
weekly.
that,
yeah.
I think this is our class. So
Oh yeah. It's like a
Yeah.
weekly check-in, I guess.
Just out of curiosity, do you guys know how many people are in this class? Or like, has anyone checked?
I think like 30 some probably.
Yeah,
there was a
since
lot of
PS1
seats
zero.
open when because I have like really, really late registration and there was still a good amount of seats open when I registered. So yeah, I would say in the 30s to 40s. Sounds about right. Although somebody on the Discord joined the class today, which was fascinating.
Saw that.
I was like, damn, hustle. I'm sorry.
That's like a lot of work to do.
Now I'm all paranoid. I'm looking at the Reddit. I feel like the only the person who's posting the interesting stuff is Chris, who's like 2 or 3 quests ahead of all of us. I'm like, Chris, I got nothing to say. I'm sorry, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, dude.
I've just been trying to post because I'm like behind. Like we're not behind, like I'm kind of on time, but I don't really have any questions right now. But like I'm still doing the readings and all, and yeah, like I don't really know if like what like I'm posting is considered like or it's not like considered like a good post. But he's not removed any of them yet, so or gave me an email yet, so I think it's good.
Everybody seems pretty on topic, and nobody's like putting code in the comments, which is probably good. I also feel like some of the questions that are in the specs that is like, here's the main thing, but then why do you think this? And I'm like, I'm not that smart at this stuff yet. Like I have no idea why. Can we talk about it, please?
Which ones?
Oh, just generally like
Oh.
some of the spec questions, like some of them I understand more generally, but then some of the like more hardcore like algorithm analysis type stuff, I'm like, I don't know. I should probably
Yeah.
read the book that was assigned.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of knowledge you have to know to answer those questions.
Yeah, and like not sound confidently stupid, which like I'm happy to do, but it's not not my favorite thing on Reddit.
Yeah.
If anybody is feeling like the first few are hard, I just finished quest 5 and it is significantly easier than every quest before it, I think. Maybe
I
not
would say-
significantly, but like a good chunk. Like I was like, why is this here?
I honestly didn't understand the purpose of Quest 5. It was just like it was super random.
Yeah, I feel like in the schedule it's before the midterm maybe, so it's meant to be like a
I
quick
see.
break or like exceptions. I feel like once you learn exceptions, there's not, especially if you're not trying and catching them, like there's not a lot to do. And like I don't, maybe learning how to overload operators is a good, like
Yeah.
if you hadn't experienced that yet.
Yeah.
I'd say if you nail the first 3, the next 6 are not that bad
Oh, nice.
comparatively. Like for me, I found that like I hit a wall with the 3rd one for a while, and then
Oh yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
I spent some more time on maybe like 7 or 8, which are also fun quests. They're all, I mean, I'd say they're all pretty fun, actually. I enjoyed them. But a lot of them are pretty easy after you get past the first 3.
That tracks.
That's good.
I definitely was overthinking 4 when we first got it with the tree. I was like,
Before
my
was, like,
first few
really
pet.
diff-
It's
No, go
what?
ahead. Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I just like the first like the easiest parts of that quest I kept getting wrong, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? And I was like, oh, I'm just completely overthinking this.
Yeah. It was like kind of slightly difficult, like some of them for 4.
I feel like in the middle they got harder, but I was like messing up the like inserting the tree node.
Oh yeah.
I was like allocating memory, and I was like, I looked back, I was like, why? What are you doing? This is not. I looked back at my linked list one, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm just being silly right now. Yeah, the middle part of 4 though definitely has some tricky stuff, I think.
I mean, just like the recursive copying, that was pretty tricky.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, I spent like a whole day like looking at different deep copy methods and being like, wait, what? And then being like, I think I get it. And then not really, but then I coded it and I was like, okay, I think this works, but I have no idea. And then it worked, and I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, I had a problem with 4 because like writing your own kind of driver code to test it was a lot more difficult on that one. I ended up like adding some of my own functions to it to even access the members to then test them, because everything was private and like abstracted away. And I was like, oh, I don't even know what's he testing.
So the way I handle it is I actually just make a class called tests in like whatever I'm using to test the code, because it already has friend class tests. and
What he's
that
doing,
means is
yeah.
it can access everything inside, no matter what, even if it's private, it can access it. So just make a class called tests and you can access everything without having to add additional functions. Or you can add additional functions too. It's
No,
absolutely.
that's actually, it's almost like it's in there for a reason and we should just take advantage of it.
Yeah. How are you testing it with like tests? Just like writing a function to like test an individual thing? It's like
Yeah.
when I test it, like I just like make a main and just like create the objects and like just test it out. But
Sometimes that's good enough. Like other
yeah.
times I'll try and format it with like print statements so that I can see the information a little better. But like a lot of the time what it comes down to is like you'll have a value that's slightly different that's not being, the output or something. And go in and figure that out because that's what's causing the error on the questing site.
I see.
I usually like write my code with like the private and public classes. And when I'm testing it, I'll just make everything like public, like for like temporarily so I can test my code, but that's probably not a good idea.
That's absolutely also fine. You know what?
Yeah.
Anything that lets you test it, as long as you put it to what it should be.
Yeah, I
after,
just
like, at
comment
the
it out
end
and
of
I
the
just
game,
make
that's
it
fine.
public.
I imagine that's also probably a big chunk of this class is like learning all of these little workflow habits as well. Because like we were talking last week, like the jump from 2A to this class was significant. And then as you mentioned, the jump from this class to 2C is also significant. So
Really?
it's like,
Wow. Yeah. I don't know if I should take him for 2C. I'm like bombing it.
Shit, it's fun, but
I'm
it-
buckling up. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So to learn the material, have you guys been like reading the textbook that like, he provided us, or do you guys just go online and like look at his lectures, or like what do you guys do?
I do both, but I don't know. The lectures aren't that useful for like solving the quest, I feel like. Because
I think the modules, if you look at the modules accompanying quests, usually they have any like usually they have anything that you'll need to figure out the quest. And if it isn't, then you can either look in the textbook or like online. But I would go to the modules on Canvas first.
Yeah, I look at the textbook. I read from the textbook the certain whatever chapter we're doing.
Yeah, I found the modules super helpful. There's also a site called learncpp.com that is like where I started learning, and it has most of what we need for this class in like a pretty good format. And like it's a huge help if you need like an alternative view on explaining something. There's not a lot of data structure stuff. It's more just like, especially as we get into like the derived classes and like virtual functions and stuff, there's like a lot of that stuff in there. And so yeah, that's my other secret resource that I use when like I have no idea what I just where to find this.
There's also c++.com, and it's just C and then spelling out ++.com. And I find that's a really good resource for anything in the standard library. So like vectors or like stacks or maps or queues or any kind of like specific functions that you don't know that something has that you're using, that's always a great resource. And it's pretty easily accessible if you look up like, for example, vector C++, and like that'll, the first result will be the reference page for it.
Just to confirm, learning C++ and or C++ and learning CPP are the two websites?
learn CPP. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's more like a guy who like threw up. It's basically like an intro class on everything C++, and then yeah, the other one is like like a more official like yeah, I guess textbooky type site, or not even textbooky, like standards. These are the standards for C++.
All right, thanks, guys.
For those of you who are on quest 3, do you guys have a favorite rule?
I'm on quest 3, but I haven't actually started reading anything about it, so maybe tomorrow.
Probably
I'll know
any of
more.
the ones that look kind of cool.
I think there are a few of those.
Yeah, it's like 30, 60 or something like that.
But I'm looking at like the cellular automata stuff. It seems like it's a lot of like it's based on like just switch like turning on and off bit to like create patterns, and like is that like what it seems to be? Like I'm just doing some quick reading right now.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the quest is. It's I think it might be one of my favorite quests of all the ones. Like it was, it kicked my butt a little bit when I first got to it, but then when I figured it out and figured out like exactly what was going wrong and I made it better, it was a fun quest. I had a lot of fun with it. So I
There's
recommend
something satisfying about like hitting run and like a big Christmas tree lights up on your screen. You're like, oh, I made that.
Yeah. Debugging that took a while though.
Absolute nightmare.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to go step by step so many times.
Yeah, there was definitely a quest where I was like, every time I'd finish a mini quest, I was submitting to the auto grader before I spent any more time moving on, because I was like, I don't want to. Like on 4, I finished a good chunk of it and then was stuck on like an early quest. I was like, oh God, what if I messed up everything? But yeah, 3, I was like, we're doing this step by step, making sure it's working.
Yeah. I feel like some of them like you can't really submit it until like you have like a rough draft of like everything, because like you have to have like definitions for like all the functions are also only like filed on the auto grader.
Well,
I
you
guess,
you can submit dummy definitions where it's
Yeah,
just like return
that's
string
true.
or like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't, but I do get what you're saying. I get
Yeah.
the urge to just fill everything out and submit something that won't work, and I know it won't work, but maybe it's close.
Yeah.
I think my thing is like he wants us submitting or like working every day. And so I'm like, I'm not going to have code to submit every day if I'm doing the entire thing at once. So I'm like, I spent a day,
Yeah.
I've got a chunk done. Here, I'm going to throw up a chunk and then see how it goes.
Pretty
I
much,
keep
yeah.
forgetting about that. Yeah, I should turn in some code every day.
What he told me, like I remember in the first meeting, he said like he doesn't even really look like, for example, like the everyday thing. He only looks at that if you or like let's say, or kind of I guess he says like if like on Sunday night when it's due, you'd like just do it all at once, like, and you do that every week. So for example, if you're a bit ahead and you still like, because what I do is I do work like maybe twice a week because I also have other classes, but the first day I do reading and then the next day I spend like maybe the whole day like trying to do the quest. That's what I've been doing. Like I think as long as you stay slightly ahead or on task, you won't really look at the bursty thing. And also when I submit my code,
makes sense.
I don't solve it in one attempt. Obviously, it take like a lot of attempts.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to do a bunch of it at once because you get hella annoyed at like why it's not working.
That would feel so good to submit once though, and it just goes through and you're like, you
Yeah.
got them all.
I do find though that if you do it all at once, especially with like advanced data structures and stuff, if you do it all at once and submit it and it gets nowhere, there's a good chance it's with your constructor and you might not have realized it and just move past it. And that it's really good to go step by step for the quests, for the mini questing. It'll guarantee that you get through them all, but it is fun to do them all at once. Just
Yeah, I may submit like maybe 2 or 3 mini quests at once and then try to like do first get full credit on those 2 or 3 and then move on to the next 3.
Yeah.
yeah, especially if they're like really closely related. I get what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, that's just good too, because you're incrementally working, and like if something's broken 3 steps back, you want to catch it 3 steps back and not, at the end. Like you're saying, if your constructor's messed up, then it's like, oh, I've been wrong since the start on some of this.
Yeah, I started doing that where like I just put like, return statements like for all my functions except for one, and I'll test it like that. Because after like Blue Quest 4, I was like, for some reason that was like really bad for me. Like I had like multiple, like I had like runtime errors, and like I couldn't figure out which function it was because I kept submitting all of them at once. So then I had to go back and like remove like all the functions except for one and see which one was causing the error, because it wasn't causing an error on my like IDE. Like when I was like running it, it was fine. It was just like it didn't fit his timing, and so like that was like a big issue for me.
Yeah, his memory limitations on the autograder are very real and very stressful sometimes. That being said, don't get freaked out on 4 if you look at the memory leak analysis, because like my memory leak analysis didn't work until I finally submitted the last piece, because when it was running in full, it like wasn't leaking at all. But the whole time I was like, what am I leaking? It was because I had to fix like the one thing that needed to be fixed to solve the entire quest.
Yeah. Are you using Valgrind?
For what?
Are you using Valgrind?
Yeah, there was a memory leak analyzer on the autograder.
Yeah, I know. There's another one that you can use though. That's pretty useful.
Oh, what's it called?
It's like Valgrind.
Oh, okay.
I think you just have to like download it in your IDE, and then you can just call it, and then it'll run. You run it with your executable, and it'll check for memory leaks.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Usually when I handle memory leaks, it's like, okay, I don't care about there being any memory leaks until I do the deconstructor. And then when I do the deconstructor, it's like, okay, I don't care about, I'm not going to get any memory leaks. But if I run into an error, that's what's going to happen, is that I'm, causing an error, or like calling on something that isn't there, or like putting something that is null pointer where it shouldn't be null pointer. Those are the things that I get the error on, rather than like, I would focus less on the actual memory leak, is what I'm trying to say. Usually, I'd say the most useful thing about the memory leak analysis is if you hit a null pointer somewhere and your code stops working, or whatever it is in C++. If you hit one of those and your code segmentation faults, if it hits one of those and stops working silently, you can check the memory leak analysis, and it'll actually tell you in which function it hit the segmentation fault. I don't think it tells you the line, but it tells you enough of a general area that you can go figure out what happened.
That's cool.
Just out of curiosity, do you guys know how many points like you can get per quest, like, and like how much are you guys aiming for per quest?
Max should be near 250, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I've been confirming on previous, once I finish a quest, like looking back at old quests to make sure that I'm matching what previous people got. So I know that it's like Duck is 33, Hare I got 23, Mina I got 23, Koala I got 40, and Kiwi I got 19. So
some of those trophies
I don't know.
To like how much effort you put into those quests, because I felt like super hard, but lowest trophies.
Kiwi's definitely 19 though, for sure.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but that's what I was getting, and compared to what it looked like
Yeah.
Also, I got the well, the hooray happens no matter what, huh? I don't know. There's no way, but that's from what I could tell.
Yeah, because I got 33 on the first one, but then at the end it always says like maybe that's it. And so then I was like, is that it? Like, I'm not sure.
I might be short a few. Even if
All the
I
quests. Go ahead and say what you say.
oh no, I was gonna say I might be short a few, but that's just kind of what I could tell.
Yeah, you can miss a few, I think, in a few
Yeah.
places. Overall, I think for 2B, it's 244 trophies by my count. If I have all the trophies, but I think I have more in one place than he said was possible. So I think like I saw a tally that was like 236 or something, and I have 244 for this quarter. So maybe.
Yeah, no, I think I know the post you're talking about. I think that person was short for sure. But even so, I don't know.
Because I was
I'm just
trying to
trying to
because I know future quests are probably going to be even harder. So I was like, I might as well get as much as I can like right now. So yeah.
from what it looks like, it does seem they all seem pretty evenly weighted. Other than like the easy one being, I mean, 4 is exceptionally overweighted compared to the others. But and then I mean, Kiwi is where it should be.
Everything else is about 25 to 30 after that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, quest 3, like I've been reading the quest, it seems kind of long. It'll probably take like maybe a couple of days. Like if we spend like 4 hours a day.
Yeah, you should make sure to.
Yeah.
I think it's good to work on it one day and then come
Yeah.
back to it another day because you'll find areas you didn't even
Yeah,
know.
that's what I did for quest 1. Because quest 1, for some reason, I had a much harder time than quest 2. I think maybe because I'd done a lot of recursion throughout my like high school coding experience. So like yeah, because like quest 1 was pointers, right? So like I've never done pointers, so that was quite challenging. And I had to spend like 3 full days on that, while the quest 2 was like like much shorter for me.
That's nuts,
Well,
dude.
there's no pointers in 3.
Yeah. Yeah, wait, there are pointers in 3?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
No, you don't get pointers back until 4, and then you get heavy pointers back. But it's like after 1, the pointers in 4 they make way more sense. At least they
Yeah,
did
I
to
think
me.
I understand them better now.
Yeah,
I watched a lot of YouTube videos and stuff.
I would get very used to using them because especially as you go into 2C, you need to know how to use pointers to be able to do it. So
Does C or the rest of this class get into unique pointers yet, or no? Is it all just like base level pointers?
There's unique pointers.
It's a type of pointer that like cleans up after itself.
Oh, I
It
see.
handles memory deallocation.
Dang.
Yeah, I figured probably not, but I'm just
I don't
curious.
think we,
It's like
yeah, I don't think we
you
use
probably
that.
you need to learn how to use the one that doesn't do
Most,
the
I mean,
helpful stuff.
that stuff is built on, like it's just taking away the work for you, but like
Yeah.
in between there's like a black box that says, go to that address in memory and remove this stuff when
Yeah.
I'm done with it. So, I'd say you need to know how to do the black box thing a lot better than you need to know how to do the thing that uses the black box.
For sure. It always is funny learning something and being like, oh, I'm never gonna, not never, but like the easy way exists, but I have to learn the hard way.
Just to be clear, how many times do you guys like plan on participating in the subreddit? Because I emailed him about it and he was like, I should participate more, like make more posts. And I like rechecked the syllabus and he says like make insightful posts every day. So I've been trying to make a post every day, but yeah, like how much are you guys planning on doing?
Well, so far I've been doing 1 to 2, but that's like I try to basically do a post or a comment every time I'm like working on this class, whether I'm coding or like reading something. So like for instance, like when I was doing the pointers, like quest 1, I think I participated more because I was like I'd spend more time in this class. So like yeah, but I'd say like I'm assuming if you like make 3 posts and comments per week, that should be like more than enough. I'm
I
guessing.
have one post for the whole like class, so I don't know if I'm doing well. Wait, should I
Yeah.
aim for like multiple? Wait, just one post per day?
I don't think you need to post that much. I think he's maybe messing with you a little bit. But like, I guess since it's an asynchronous class, he probably expects a little bit more. Like, I don't know, actually, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
I'd say like if you comment often on people's responses and give, maybe insightful responses to what people say and post every once in a while, like if you look at the subreddit and someone hasn't like tackled a question from the quests, like you don't even have to answer the question, just like pose a discussion and like open it up, and then other people who are commenting can come in, like if they want to have further the discussion, they can also respond. So don't feel inhibited to post those kind of questions.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, like I've just been like posting like yesterday's post I did. I was just like, I'm just gonna comment on like the textbook reading, but like yeah, I guess opening up the conversation to like the questions that he has in the quest, like sometimes he'll just be like discuss this in the Reddit, like yeah, like that'd be a great conversation opener. Yeah.
For the textbook, are you guys all using the one he recommended, like the data structures and algorithms analysis book?
Yeah, I found a digital copy somewhere. I don't remember. Which, by the way, if anybody wants, I will throw into the Discord. But yeah, I hate having digital textbooks. They're so long and like scrolling through. But I suppose it's better than like a 600-page monstrosity that costs $200.
Where can I find the link to the Discord? Or I mean, if it's just something that you guys are keeping amongst yourselves, can someone post in the chat or something?
Oh, you're not in the server? Okay. I'll post an invite link.
I think the server link might have gone to our specific section if we sent it through Canvas. That's why.
Yeah, it's in the chat, so.
All right, thanks.
It's not exactly popping off in there either.
Do you guys use iterators to go through vectors, or just like index? With like
Let's use a for, yeah, just a for loop.
yeah.
I'd say it usually depends. I'd say it helps to know how to use iterators. But that more often than not, the quests tend to be easier if you don't use iterators and instead
Yeah.
use numbers and index into things.
Yeah, like for other like data structures, like for instance, at least in Java, if I recall, like for stacks and queues, I mean, normally you wouldn't want to iterate through a queue, but like if you did, then you would use an iterator.
What are you using iterators on?
Just like anything with like vectors, like going
I
through.
mean, if you want to use iterators and that works, that's also totally fine. I'm not
Yeah,
trying to
but it is harder because I think like random access is harder. Because I don't even know if you can do that with iterators really.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
That's usually why I trade it for a index value, because
Yeah.
I need a little more from the thing that I'm iterating than just something that loops through it. But if it's like a vague thing and it's giving me pointers and I just need to see the value and that's it, simple things you can use iterators for and be really successful.
Yeah.
Or you could use
you-
one. You could use both.
I'll definitely throw up like a range-based for loop to get through a vector quickly. To me, that's like the fastest when
Yeah.
I'm just working and I'm just like, I feel like that's my thing. I'm like, I'm already trying to figure this thing out as I go. So I'm just gonna go with like, what gets it up and running first?
You couldn't actually define, well, I would define the iterator outside of the for loop because usually they work better that way. But then after that, like you can also like iterate, you can, there's the 3 sections in the for loop with the semicolons. The middle section is your condition. So that's obviously just like one thing, although you can like and or and do whatever you want in there. But the 2 side sections, you can actually, so the leftmost section, you can like, it's like for variable definition. So you can like instantiate the iterator if you defined it outside of the for loop. You can like define an integer. I don't know if you can do those 2 simultaneously. I think it works weird if you're trying to define multiple different variable types. But the right side, it doesn't matter if they're different variable types. You can just do like a + on both of them. And I think you just separate it by a comma instead of a semicolon and it'll work. So like, let's say if you do, if you have an iterator and you also have an integer index or something, and like the index moves to different places and you need to access something like at a random point, but the iterator, you want to go through every single step, then the iterator, you can say, ++, and then like, I don't know, the index I can be, comma, I plus equals 2 or times equals 2 or whatever it's doing.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, you can actually like do a lot in the for loop. I didn't even, you could like define a whole ass struct, like
You can do so much in for loops. I love for loops. You should get to know for loops because they are your best friend.
yeah.
Like that's like half of what I use. Like throw it in the loop, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Did anyone do to 5 or like a general application for Quest 3? Because I know it only requires that you take like 3 parents at a time.
5 sounded like it was going to be a lot of work just in terms of like the amount of combinations. I was like,
Well, I mean, I don't know how you like set up your rules file or whatever, but like you can, like if you set up everything like algorithmically and figure out exactly the math behind like why, like how the parents work and how many padding numbers you need on either side and stuff like that. It's probably why I hit a wall, because I said, no, I'm doing it this way. I'm doing it. I can do whatever number I want to be the number of parents, and that made it take twice as long.
Oh yeah, no, I was fine with that. It was the only place I was going to run into issues was when I was converting the integer into like a binary version.
So
Just setting that size long enough because
what
I
is-
set it to 32-bit when I was just doing it with 3 parents, and so I was like, I don't really want to. I could have done the math and figured it out, but I was like, this works now. I'm going to turn this in.
The number you need is the number of parents. No, what is it?
It's 2 to the number of parents, and then that, and
It's
then it's
2 to the
that.
number of parents to the number of parents, and that's the number of
Exactly.
rules that it is.
Yeah.
So 2 to the 5 to the 5, that's only 2 to the 25. That's not that bad. 32, I mean, that 32-bit will cover that.
Oh, I think I did my math wrong then when I was doing that.
So yeah, it's only 33.5 million combinations. I didn't test it with 5. I made it with 5 and it worked with 3, but I never tested it with 5. So this
Yeah,
would be interesting.
I tried to, and I think something was wrong at some point. So I was like, I'm going to move on from this because I don't care
Good
enough.
choice. Yeah, I think I should have just done it with 3 and not done it with 5, but
Can't even remember, but like I think if like you did it with 5, like I don't even know if like the size type variable would hold like the number of combos it was. I wasn't, because the numbers like
That's
so,
that's what I was running into when I
Yeah.
was setting. Yeah, it was going to take some like retooling of the data type that was holding.
yeah.
let's see if
Maybe I was doing the math wrong.
That's more likely for me. Definitely what it was.
need more than 19 for the width, right? I need like, if I'm doing it 5 wide and I'm doing 10 generations, I'm adding 4 every generation. So it's 1 plus 4 times 10. So it's 41. Okay. Let's see if this works. Okay, so it's I moved my code over from my Windows device to this one at some point, and this one's a Mac, and now it's not working. I love C++.
Classic. I work on my Mac most of the day, and then like I was getting some out of bounds errors that weren't getting caught in my IDE on my Mac, and I booted up Visual Studio on my Windows, and like I had that set up to flag everything, and I could not even get through the assignment. It was flagging so much stuff, and I was like, oh no. Yeah, it's always fun what gets caught and what doesn't.
It's annoying that it's pretty different from each other.
Yeah. I definitely like working with more warnings on than not, though. I feel like it just forces me into not messing things up.
Yeah.
Do all of you use Visual Studio Code, or do you guys use like different IDEs?
I use a text editor.
I
That's
have
true.
I use
Yeah.
Visual
Plain text
Studio
editor?
on my Windows. Yeah.
Wait, John, use a plain text editor.
No, I was just kidding. I use Visual Studio.
Oh,
I use Visual Studio for everything because I have multiple devices, so it's like I want the same UI, the same system, and it's like pretty
It
bare
would be
bones.
really
It's
cool
not,
if,
like, funky.
oh yeah. It'd be cool if Visual Studio Mac would support C++, but it doesn't. So I use C-Lion when I'm on my Mac because it's pretty lightweight and free if you're a student, and has really, really good like refactoring skills, and has like a real time. It puts your code up against like Clang standards and will recommend like fixes. So like if you're doing, I don't know, like set something to null, like that's not the recommended standard anymore, that you should recommend to set it to null pointer. So to like fix that stuff for you too, which is, I think, just a good, like I go, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know why I was doing this way, but interesting. I guess Visual Studio, the like full bodied one, does pretty much the same thing, which is great.
By the way, I get around the VS Code not having C++ on the Mac by using the tasks. Then I just have a task that's connected to the GCC compiler that I have on the Mac anyways.
Oh yeah, with code, yeah. I mean, I wish that like the full Visual Studio community
Yeah,
would be available on Mac, and it doesn't have C++ on the Mac one because it's not actually the same
right.
program,
That's
which is
yeah.
wild. Yeah,
One of the reasons why
classic.
I'm into using Visual Studio is because I've always been on Mac and then like have recently gotten a Windows machine. So it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
now I need to get used to something
yeah.
else.
It's always Xcode.
Yeah, that's what I would recommend. If you're just a Mac user, I would say Xcode is absolutely the way to go. I mean, I guess if you don't like it, VS Code is fine, but Xcode makes up for a lot of the struggles with using C++ on Mac.
Yeah, it's good. It's a little clunky, but it's fine. I feel like if you like my company that I'm like studying to eventually work for, like our two main things, like you develop on Xcode and you develop on Visual Studio. That's it. Like that's what we use. That's what we're delivering on. So it's like, yeah, probably good to learn one or the other or both if you're interested in, yeah.
Well, I have a Mac, but I use C++ and Visual Studio Code, and like so far it's been fine. Like, so what do you mean by like it's clunky?
I was saying Xcode feels a bit clunky sometimes. Not
Oh yeah,
VS. So there's like VS Code is not Visual Studio. Like on Windows, there's like the full version, which is like a much heftier IDE for like production level code. VS Code's technically not an IDE, which like
the
I don't
text
think it
editor.
matters. Yeah, at this level, it doesn't
Text
really
editor
like
with
as we're learning.
extensions.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I wish like when you use the full featured like IntelliSense, like the heft of the nice Visual Studio, and not having that on Mac is frustrating. Xcode's fine. It's like I feel like Xcode made a push a few years ago to do everything on Swift, and so yeah, it has its shortcomings for C++ as well.
All right, guys, I gotta go. I have a physics test this Thursday, but thank you guys, and I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, man.
So I'm so happy that my Mary Mina's thing is not working on this laptop because it means I have an excuse to do the quest over again with the intention of making it work.
Man, you really love coding, huh?
Yeah, I find it as enjoyable as playing video games or doing anything else with my time. So I feel very fortunate.
That's good.
Does this meeting end at 7 or is it like supposed to?
It just ends whenever.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm actually gonna bounce too because it's 9
Yeah,
p.m.
same.
here. So
Yeah, we'll see you.
yeah, I'll see you guys.
Yeah, see you guys.